Terry Tapagologos, snapper, dark horses.
Corey Belliveau, wide receiver and DB for the Bandits.
Matt Clowe, quarterback for the Blue Boys.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Breaking the Huddle. As you've noticed, Darren Bazinjan is not here this week. He's pulling a Jay Cutler-like sick leave, so I'm here filling in for him just for this week. Our guests, as you've heard from the intro, are Terry Tambakalogas from the Dark Horses, Matt Clowe from the Rude Boys, and Corey Belliveau from the Bandits. So we're going to delve right into the first question, guys. This is a general topic, so you guys feel free to jump right in. How do you feel about the new divisional rule? So basically, rules about governing the QB allowances in lower divisions, not allowing them to have a second player down with them, as well as the championship rule, where if a team wins their respective division, they are forced to move up if they have a minimum of 5 players and a returning quarterback from the previous season. So I'll start with you, Corey. What's your take? Do you think this helps the divisions, a little more parity? Is there anything that
No, absolutely. It's a good move for the league. I think it creates more competition between teams. You won't have, like you said, a powerhouse quarterback and wide receiver hooking up all day as they do in Division One. So for that reason, creating better competition within the division definitely helps making for better games.
Matt?
Yeah, I think definitely having a team move up when they win a championship is a no-brainer. Like if they're bringing back the same squad and they're not going to move up a level, then I think it just shows no guts, one, to not move up, and then two, you should try to strive for that next level and win another championship at an even higher level.
Terry?
Yeah, I agree 100% because in the case of like the Knicks' Renegades a couple of years ago, where they won and then they didn't go up, I know there's a lot of complaints in the league and stuff. So it's good that when you win, you try and better yourself instead of kind of make it unfair for the rest of the league. In the end, it is a recreational league. We're not coming in here to get blown out every game by teams that dominate.
So do you guys feel like putting an actual numeric limitation, like as it is right now, is 5 players and 1 quarterback? Do you think that's fair? Some guys might say, well, we have 4. Do you guys think that there might have been a better idea, a better way to kind of govern it? Or?
Well, yeah, essentially you're bringing back your lineup. If you're going to have a different quarterback, it brings a completely different dimension to your game. So it's kind of like if you're not bringing the same caliber quarterback, you can stay down in the division. But if your quarterback won his, let's say he was best quarterback in the league, and then he stays in the same division after you guys won, it's not fair for the rest of the league.
All right. Well, here's a question for you, Matt. An example is the D-Boys. They won the Division 3 championship last year with a different quarterback and a couple star players in Marc Champagny and John Laristis, who both aren't with the team anymore. It's pretty much the same core, and they brought in a quarterback who was an elite quarterback in Division 2, Daniele Gentile, who also played with you in the spring. How do you think that fares? Like essentially a championship-winning team with a D2 established quarterback. Do you think that's kind of finding a loophole? Or?
I mean, it could be finding a loophole, and I think they blew somebody out there 2 weeks, or not this past week, but exactly. A week ago. And I mean, Danny's a great quarterback. He played with us last spring in Div B, and like their team, pretty good. I know they're missing a couple of their absolute best players, Marc Champagny being one of them. But again, it's like Terry was saying, it's a different dynamic when you bring in a different quarterback. You've got to, get used to his style. You've got to learn how to gel as a team. So, I mean, if they bring back their whole squad or 5 and a QB, one of them, then I think that might be a good enough nucleus. But I think breaking in a new QB and maybe, I don't know necessarily the guys they brought back, but I think that it's okay. And yeah, they're going to have a good team. They're going to be one of the top teams. But by all means, I think it's okay.
What about this, Corey? Should it be that if it's 5 players returning or the QB, or should it be both like it is right now? Because in their case, they have 5 players who return.
I think it should be both. I think they did find a bit of a loophole this year because going from Gino DeFazio to Daniele Gentile, in my opinion, isn't much of a downgrade. Yeah. I'm pretty familiar with their team, and it's pretty much the same core guys except for Marc Champagne. It's a tough call to make because there's so many exceptions and so many players want to play as much football as possible. But no, I think the rule works.
All right. So moving on to the next topic here in the general discussion, championships. Obviously, it's the ultimate goal of every player, not only on this panel but also in the league. no one here on this panel has actually won a championship in flag plus football, albeit all three have played on some pretty good teams. So my question is how exactly do you feel that, because you all play on pretty much good teams, I think all your records speak for themselves thus far in the league. What do you feel that maybe your previous teams have been missing to get to that, to get to that next level and compete for a championship, make the finals, and win? And do you feel like your current team has that missing X factor? So we'll start with you, Matt.
Well, I feel like the teams we've been on haven't necessarily made it incredibly close. I think we went top 8 for a couple of years there. But we always seem to be missing that consistency at the end of the year. I mean, we've been beaten by a couple of good teams in the playoffs, Cobras, Chaos, Div C, Div 3. We had some nice additions this year, Eugene McLaren, Charlton James. So, I mean, Brian Joseph, one of our guys, one of the top 3-5 receivers in the league, and putting him with Trelden, I think that just gives us another threat on the outside. And bringing in Eugene is another great safety to go with another one of our guys, Doug Gellivan, who I think is one of the top safeties in the league. So I think those two pieces will hopefully put us over the top. It's what we've been missing, that big receiver, another safety. So we felt like we added the pieces this year to be really competitive.
Perfect. Corey?
I think two major factors, one being experience. This is a tough league to win in, a lot of good teams. And to win, you really do need experience, and I think the Bandits are gaining that. This is our 6th season in the league, so I would look for us to make a good run this year. Another thing is organization. On the field, a lot of times, a lot of voices get heard, and everyone wants to be heard, and that's not good if you want to be going forward on one page, and we're trying to get things more organized this year, and hopefully we'll do that.
Here's a question we can build on, though, with you, Corey, specifically is Jimmy Corrali's been your quarterback for most of the seasons that you guys have played in the league, and he's always been a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
I think for one season, Gregory Soralo was your quarterback, maybe for more. Did you feel that there was, did you feel the Bandits were stronger with maybe him at quarterback, or was it, was that something, like, do you feel the quarterback position is maybe something?
I think we have the right quarterback right now. Jimmy's the best quarterback the Bandits have had. I personally think he's got the best arm in D3. He's got a cannon, and if he sticks to our game plan and keeps it simple, I really think he can be one of the best quarterbacks in Division 3.
Cool. So Corey and Matt both played on pretty much the same team throughout their Flag Plus career. Terry here is the polar opposite. He's actually played on, if I can count properly here, there's the Vipers, the Doggone Ball Club, there's the
RHC, Monstars, Dark Horses, Predators.
Yeah.
Mostly I'm a journeyman,
yeah,
kind of thing.
So you might be best tailored to answer this question. What have you felt like in the past have major teams either given you guys that extra bump or kind of held you guys back?
Well, the closest I've come is with the Vipers, and we didn't have a quarterback. Like, we had a quarterback, obviously, but he wasn't that good until we finally found a quarterback, Miles Gibbon. We went 10-0. We ended up losing the first round of the playoffs, but we kind of relied on Miles. So, like they were saying earlier, it's kind of chemistry. And if you don't have an organization in the team, it's not going to work out. But like, as I can say, for Dark Horses this year, we're 1-2. We're a pretty good team. The only thing is that we're just made out of nothing, kind of thing. Like, everybody just came out of nowhere. Mishmash, exactly. And so maybe that's why we're 1-2. I think we could have been 3-0 if we had more practice and played a season before. Yeah. Like, our team is pretty good this year. So it all comes down to more chemistry and organizational.
So you feel like having a stellar quarterback maybe isn't the be-all, end-all, is what you're saying, like
exactly.
was the case with Miles?
Yeah, exactly. Like, Miles brought us to 10-0, and he was probably the best player that year, and we lost the first round of the playoffs.
You lost the Water Buffaloes.
The Water Buffaloes, exactly.
Okay, and what did you feel maybe they had over you guys that specific game?
Well,
on paper, I think the Vipers were probably the better team.
Well, yeah, we had Narig, we had Ara, you can say whatever you want about Ara. Exactly, Narig Isayan. And we had Chris Edgecarian and Miles, even had Mike Alfonso that year. And Miles plays in the States now, and Alfonso, who plays CIS. These guys are two good players, and they brought a big dimension to our game, and our defense was pretty good. But it's just that in the playoffs, I don't know why we choked in the playoffs. It just goes to show it's just chemistry in the end.
So I guess it is the X factors, chemistries. There's obviously a lot of factors that come into it. We couldn't figure out the magic answer here tonight, but I'm sure one of these guys hopefully will be able to figure that out this season or in the upcoming seasons. So we'll be right back with our next segment, which is Fill in the Blanks. All right, we're back with Fill in the Blanks. So what we're going to do is I'll give you guys a topic. basically with the blank to be filled in, and you guys give me a one-word answer, and you can elaborate a bit on it right after that. So we'll start off. First one, Terry, team you fear the most in Division 3.
D-boys.
Why?
Because Daniele was a D2 quarterback on a competitive team, and they came back with a pretty good team this year. And just that he brings that dimension to that team. It's just going to bring them all the way.
Matt?
Well, yeah, D-boys for sure. Haven't played against them, but I know Danny is a great quarterback, great arm, good movement, can really play football, and from what I've heard, they've got a really good team around them, so it's got to be them.
Do we have a clean slate?
Obviously, the D-boys are, I would say, a front runner, but the Monarchs also as well, I would think, coming down from Division 2. Anytime a team comes down a division with some experience, I think they could be a threat to do some damage in Division 3.
Yeah. All right, next up, best player of the following 3. Now, these are 3 guys that usually get a lot of publicity. You hear about a lot. Which one do you think is the best of the 3 that you played against or that you'd like to play with? Tim Kramer of the Sandlot Saints, Robbie Robinson of VPC, or Andre John of the Snookers? So, Terry.
I say go Robbie Robinson. He's pretty good. He's quick and he has good hands, and he knows how to read the play well. He's pretty dangerous to play against.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to mirror Terry's answer again, but I got to say Robbie Robinson too. He makes some fantastic plays with his feet and his arm at the same time, and I mean, most of the time he's making plays with his feet to make plays with his arm. He's not necessarily a running quarterback. He seems to be able to move around and really make some nice tight throws on the run.
I would say Andre John of the Snookers. We played them last year, and he made a lot of big plays in that game. So I haven't played against the other 2, to be honest with you, so I can't really make a good comparison, but Andre John is a very talented player.
All right, we're going to mix things up a bit here. The best QB out of the following 3. We'll start with you, Corey. All right, Matt Clowe, who's sitting right beside you, Scott Kelly, or Ed Shoshan?
Scott Kelly, I think, is a good a two-way quarterback. He can run the ball and he can throw the ball, so he's pretty tough to play against. So I'll go with Scott Kelly.
Terry?
I played against Matt Clowe last night, and it was pretty brutal. Even on one leg, he still got it done. So I say Matt Clowe.
So you're saying he channeled his inner Jay Cutler then?
Yeah, exactly.
And Matt? Give me the status quo here. Or?
Yeah, I know. I've never played against Scott Kelly. I've played against Ed a bunch of times, and I think we've won each of those matchups. So I'll go with myself.
Nice. All right. I hope Ed is watching. Mix it up a bit here with something a little different. Favorite complex to play at out of the 3, obviously, Lachine, Loyola, and Brossard. Matt?
I'm going to go with Brossard. I don't mind the drive because I usually get a ride, and it's just yeah, exactly. It's just it's easily the nicest facility we play in. It's nice and warm. The field's fantastic. It's fast, and lots of room too. So I really like playing in Brossard.
Corey?
I'd have to agree with that. It's a great place to play. It's clean, warm, great sight lines. Lights never get in the way, so definitely Brossard.
I never played at Brossard, so I can't say anything. But I have to say Catalogna only because it's the birthplace kind of thing.
It's the central hub, right?
But in the complex, not the dome.
Okay, so the summer Catalonia.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Last question of fill in the blanks, guys. Of the returning teams from D3, and here we can elaborate a bit more. I listed a few for you of teams that came back from last winter, kind of middle of the pack teams. So, above average to about average. Names that you've heard before: Soldiers, Rude Boys, Sweet Tangerine Dream, Brocasian, Trojans, KGP Champs, Cobras, and Bandits. Who do you think is, out of these teams that I mentioned, who do you think is the team that's most destined to break through this year? Maybe you guys shouldn't, besides your own teams, is there any of the other teams that you feel might break through? So we'll start with you, Terry.
The KGP Champs are always pretty good. I like them. I've always liked to watch them play.
I think they're 0-3 this year, if I'm not mistaken, thus far, or 1-2.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are. But I always like them play, and they have fun out there, and that's what I find the best part about it. They can make the playoffs and make a run and see what happens. But D3 is going to be a tough division, and I hope
so you
to
see the KGP Champs breaking through this year, possibly?
Not winning, but I see them doing well at least.
All right, so you're not answering the question properly.
My bad.
That's all right. Corey.
I like the Cobras. We've played them quite a few times in past years. They stick to a solid game plan. They play safe football. And I think if they build on that, I think they can have a really good year this year.
And Matt?
Well, I think the Soldiers are in our division, so I hope they don't break out. But I've heard they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with Corey. I think the Cobras are a really good team. We've played them tight. I think we've played them every year. And they're a pretty good team. When Alex's foot kind of heals, I think he sprained it badly before the season started, and he still ran around on us a little bit. We beat them by a point a couple weeks ago, but I think the Cobras, if he can heal his foot, they've got a great all-around team. They play well together, and they just play a consistent football game every game, it seems.
All right, so Cobras, even with the loss of King Cobra, Frank Grenier this season, still getting some love from the panel. So we'll be back with our next segment, which is Commissioner for a Day. All right, well, we're back with the Commissioner for a Day segment, which I can tell you is not as glamorous a position as some may think. So we'll start off with you, Terry. If you could change one thing about Flag Plus football that you think would improve the league from a player's perspective, what would it be?
Well, I know there's been rules placed to kind of not have guys throw if you're in a higher division, and to go in a lower division and throw also. But kind of maybe have a list of players that reach a certain caliber that can't play in the lower divisions. So players like maybe Keyshawn and guys like that, who can't play in Division 3.
Keyshawn Thompson.
Keyshawn Thompson, exactly. Or even Mo Khan, he can't play in Division 3 or Division 4
I think
because he reaches that level, you know. So maybe have that kind of I want to say a list of elite players kind of deal, and then maybe Division 2 have 2 of those players, Division 3 have 1 of those players being able to play, and Division 4 and 5 keep it recreational.
So to elaborate, then you're saying that players shouldn't be tagged necessarily by the top division they play in, but rather by like a predetermined ranking of
Exactly,
talent,
exactly.
Right? Okay, interesting. All right, Matt?
Something along those lines, but more to do with the rosters, for day-to-day availability of games. I think that being able to have only one person on a higher division team, if they're the quarterback, playing a lower division team is a little bit limiting. Like if I wanted to move up to Div 2 and throw for a game, I couldn't play for my Rude Boys team that same weekend. I think it would let maybe a lower division quarterback get up and get a little bit of experience in the higher division. We went up last spring to play in Div B, and Div B, Div A, I'm sure as well, a lot faster, a lot quicker. Being able to kind of get that experience, or just sub in for a team that needs it and help them out would be nice. But with the current rules as it is,
so what do you suggest then? Maybe like a subbing.
Yeah, something where you can do it for a maximum of 2 games a season or something like that. Because currently we have another quarterback playing on our team, Eugene McLaren, and we originally had brought him on in thinking that okay, maybe if I'm going to miss a game or 2, because I missed 8 games last year because of injury, it'd be nice to have somebody who could sub in. But we are using him a little bit differently now. But that's limiting him in now he can't throw for his Div 4 team.
Because they have another Div 3
right.
player in Jean-François Trudeau.
Exactly, but if it was the case where he could sub 2 or 3 games a season for Div 3, he could throw full time for his Div 4 team and then only sub in when it was needed. So then he could effectively quarterback his 10 games if he wanted to in Div 4, and then still be able to throw in Div 3 on an interim basis without affecting his roster status or JF Trudeau's roster status. So.
Interesting, yeah. And Corey?
I think I speak for a lot of players when I say we love playing and we'd love to play longer games or more games, longer seasons, or one or the other. 44 minutes and 10 plays seems like a little short when you're out there. So if there's any way you can lengthen that, I think the guys would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But understanding with the amount of teams and the limited number of space, it's tough to do. But definitely longer seasons or longer games
Well,
would
since
be
I'm
awesome.
here replacing Darren, I can just answer your question on that, Corey. Statement is that this year, I mean, obviously it's tough to expand the hours that we have at the complexes, but what we did do to try to speed up the game is, I'm sure some of the players have noticed that the snappers are actually holding onto the ball this season as opposed to the referees placing the ball after every play. We thought that that would gain a good 3, 4, maybe even 5 plays per game, just saving the pace of having the referee to replace the ball even after incomplete passes. So we felt that would be a way to kind of speed up the game, but I agree for sure. Obviously, guys are here, they want to play football, so obviously no time is ever enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it. All right, well, that's it for Commissioner for a Day. We're going to finish up with our last, we'll dive right into it now. Our last thing is the personal questions for each individual here. So without further ado, I'll start off with Matt. So you've gained somewhat of a reputation over the last few seasons of being an excellent leader in Division 3 and on your team, especially with the Rude Boys. We players have noticed that you've been coaching up some of your players, helping them out. What do you feel that you brought to the table, in addition to obviously being a good rock solid quarterback for the Rude Boys last few seasons that they didn't have in the prior season before Gary Bloomfield was actually the starting quarterback for the Rude Boys before Matt. So what type of leadership, how do you feel you contribute to the Rude Boys off the field, just with your football experience, which we know you played some CIS ball? How do you feel you contribute to the Rude Boys away from the field?
Well, not to take anything away from Gary. Well, sure, yeah, no, yeah. I will a little bit. He's a lot better at corner, but I guess, yeah, just the structure from playing university ball, structured plays, we've got a playbook, like I'm sure everybody does, but I like to be able to call any play on the fly, expect my guys to know all the plays. Feel like I'm a good cheerleader. Got a lot of practice last spring with 8 games lost due to injury. But I guess just, staying focused. It is for fun, but at the same time, you want to win a football game. So sometimes people I see tend to get a little bit distracted, staying focused, staying on them, driving them to get a little bit better. Because I feel like most everybody who's playing in this league has some level of talent, right? And you just have to really focus and work at it to get the most out of yourself. You don't necessarily have to be a D1 all-star to be able to impact the game positively. So I don't know, just trying to get the best out of everybody on the team, finding out what they do well, and then helping motivate them to get there.
Yeah, well, we definitely see an improvement with a lot of the guys on the Rude Boys since you've been there. So it's definitely credit to you, and good job. Next up, we'll go to Terry. We mentioned earlier, Terry, that you're kind of notorious. If we can check the record books, stat boy Darren Bazaljan might have to check the record books to see if Terry's the person who's played on the most teams for quote-unquote one night or one season stand. We mentioned some of those teams earlier, Terry. If you had to name your best experience in Flight Plus football, and by best I mean total experience, not just best win-loss record, your best experience, your worst experience, and why for each?
Well, worst experience was, it was a fun season, but when I played for the Predators, we went 1-9 that year, and it was
That was spring 2009.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Predators is just a sub team of the Division B, kind of the Monarchs. Yeah. So I played with Stephen Free and those guys, and it was pretty fun. But we did go 1-9. It wasn't fun to come out and get blown out every game, but it was fun because we just wanted to have fun. But as a good moment, I would probably say going 10-0 with the Vipers. I wasn't at the playoff game when we lost against the Water Buffalo, so I'd say going 10-0 with the Vipers, maybe giving kind of that hope to kind of win and to see Miles kind of run through the league like it was anything. So it was pretty fun to win.
And just to elaborate, besides the fact, like we said, wins and losses, obviously both teams are probably your best and worst as far as the win column. What experience has been the best just as far as blending with guys? You've played with a lot of guys straight off the free agent list, right?
Yeah.
Has that experience been as fun for you? Or
Yeah,
has it
for
been
sure.
more fun playing with guys that you know off the football field?
Well, yeah, for sure. I get to meet a lot of guys around the league, that way. And it's, when you're free agent every year, it's kind of you meet a lot of guys. I wouldn't have met some of the guys I met on the Dark Horses this year, or Stephen Free on the Predators and those guys. But it was pretty fun. But kind of thing when I played for the Doggone Ball Club, some friends of mine, they asked me to play, and that was probably one of my favorite seasons because it was jokes all the time. We had a competitive team. I don't think we made the playoffs that year. It was a competitive team, but we had fun, and that's what the league's about, is having fun.
All right, great. And Corey, last one. You've been known to carry the Bandits on offense and on defense in the 5 or 6 seasons that you guys have played. You've made multiple All-Star games as a safety or defensive back on the defensive side of the ball, as a snapper, an athletic snapper, which you don't see that much in the lower divisions. So you definitely, would be quantified as the heart and soul of the Bandits. Let's be honest, whether you'll admit it or not. If you had to mention one guy on offense and one guy on defense, 2 separate guys on the Bandits that maybe don't get enough hype or enough love from the Weppel guys that you don't hear about in the articles, that you feel deserves to get some love, who would that be on offense and defense?
I'll start off on defense. Anthony Botso, our rusher, is an unbelievable rusher. The straight line speed, he's just so explosive, and he can be an X factor in any type of game. He gets back to the quarterback a lot. He makes a lot of sacks. He makes a lot of good tackles, and he's a big part of our defense. On the offensive side of the ball, we try to spread the ball around as much as possible and not focus too much on one player. Guys like Adam Racine, Alex Hanna, Alex Camus are great depth players that can make big plays at any time. So any one of us on offense really, I think, can make a difference in the game.
Great. All right, so before we let these guys go, any closing notes, any aspirations for this season, things that you want to point out for people looking out there, the D3 audience, just going forward and finishing up this season? So Matt, anything that you feel the audience should know about the Rude Boys, or any warning you want to give, or anything along those lines?
No, not really. Just looking forward to a good season, trying to stay healthy and play as many games as I can.
That's it. Matt missed 8 games, like he alluded to earlier, in the spring season due to injury, so we wish you go well with health this season. Corey?
No, nothing to say. Enjoy the season, everybody. Have fun. Play safe.
All right. And Terry?
Look
words.
look out for the dark horses. That's all I'm gonna say.
Dark horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's in the name. All right, well, that's it for us this week. Darren will hopefully be back next week to host Breaking the Huddle. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the field.